million subscriber Q&A. Q&As are fun. We probably hit some of these in the million subscriber live stream when we just had the live stream going while the counting total of million subscribers ticked over, and I was on lunch with one of my biggest mentor, Philip. We were at lunch at the exact same time it passed 1 million subscribers, so it was kind of funny. But I didn't really have like a lot of, there's just like 300 people in the live chat asking questions. So we wanted to do an official Q&A to really answer some of the questions from the general audience, some questions about business, some questions about boots, some questions about leatherworking, toaster, general, my personal life. And so that's the plan. And thanks again for helping us get to 1 million subscribers. I honestly never would have guessed that you could make 1 million subscriber YouTube channel off of cutting boots and shoes in half. Because I think, honestly, it's less about having 1 million subscribers because of like, oh, I'm entertaining, I'm good at presenting information, because it's not true. Because if you go watch like a video from a year ago, I've been on an upward trajectory of improving my recording ability, especially if you go watch one of the first videos. Because the first videos, I was getting like 1,000 views, so I wouldn't even do my hair. I wouldn't even put a hat on. I'm like, all right, I'm tired, I'm just gonna hop in front of the camera and get this done. And now they have like 3 million views. I'm like, well, I'm sure glad I did my hair that day on this Timberland video that has like 2 million views or whatever. We haven't announced any of the big announcements yet because we're still not ready for it. So at the first of the year, probably at the State of the Union, they'll do the first big announcement. So please stay tuned. Thanks for being patient with us. We honestly didn't think we were gonna hit 1 million subscribers in November. I thought it was gonna be like January, February, but then it just like whoop, took off. So let's do it. How to grow a business from DIY to big. That is a big question. A few things you want to focus on in trying to grow something small to something big is it scalable? If you make one of these at this much money and I make this much money, how much of those do I have to make in order to make the money I want to make? And then you take that and it's like, is that even feasible? So for instance, like in my business history, I used to make handmade wooden and silver, handcrafted silversmith wedding rings. They're inlaid with wood that had meaning to each, and we still make them. I just don't make them myself anymore. We've got a wonderful artist named Madison that does it. And it takes a long time to do each individual one. There's a lot of returns. There's a lot of, it's like not Bridezillas, but like Bridezillas. And so it's a lot of work. And so you will make some good money. Let's say per ring, you maybe make $100. And you're making good money per hour, but let's say you want to make $1 million a year. How many of those rings do you have to sell to make $1 million a year? And then how many of those rings are you capable of making per day? So just basic scalability. You just want to look at the numbers. Is it even feasible to make money at the money I want to make with the amount that I can produce personally? Because then you have to start thinking about like what we're going through currently, which is the first time I started this business was just in my bedroom. Then I rented a little bit of extra rent in our Ivy house up in Logan, Utah, to have like the tiniest little nook. And I was paying a couple extra $100 a month, and that was a pretty big like impact on my tiny amount of sales. Then we moved to our first shop that was $1,000 a month, and our second shop $2,000 a month. This shop is like $5,000 a month. And so at any point that could have if I went straight to a $5,000 shop, it would have completely killed the business. But I think you get the point. What is the most successful thing you did in your business to get it to where you are with Rose Anvil? The Kickstarter was a huge thing. That $500,000 in Kickstarter gave us the traction and the income coming in that we could start investing in marketing and the YouTube channel. And then obviously the YouTube channel is probably the number one thing that has made the biggest change in the business because it's brought an audience, and we've built an audience that you would have to pay millions of dollars for. What about socks? Maybe in the future. We're not going to make a sock company that's just like, hey, another sock company that's doing the same socks as everyone else. It's like if I can find a new and interesting way to do things and solve problems that like no one's solved before, that's the only way I'm going to do socks. I have zero interest in socks if I'm just going to put my name on a pair of socks and people are like, oh, I bought the Rose Anvil socks. I don't want that. I want people to be like, hey, I bought these socks and they have this, this, and this, and I love them for this, and Rose Anvil makes them. What was your fallback career if this YouTube thing didn't take off? I had zero fallback careers because I do have an education background in marketing and business admin. I got my bachelor's degree from USU. But I think like most entrepreneurs, it's like it was all or nothing. I just went full on into it. I don't have a backup plan. I still don't have a backup plan. There's always things I could go do. Like if this all fell apart, I could go get a marketing job at a lot of places and be just fine, because I think we do a really, really good job of marketing, and it's an important skill set that I have developed over the years, and with my education and running this business and YouTube and sales of products and all this. I'm very happy with my skill set, and I feel comfortable and feel safe for the rest of my career, regardless of what happens with Rose Anvil. But I've never had a backup plan. I've never had like a crutch to lean on. I've never had like a 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like it's all been full bore, 24/7, all commitment. And that's why, like, you know, if people are like, what are your favorite denim? What are your favorite this? What are your favorite that? I'm like, I don't like, you know, this business has only been working for a couple of years. The last like 10 years has been like starving to death trying to make money, you know, and like I didn't buy any brand new clothes for like 5 years straight. I was like wearing skinny jeans up until like 3 years ago because I couldn't afford to buy anything else. I was just putting it all into the business. That being said though, did I go into this 10 years ago when I started Rose Anvil, like I want to be the #1 boot education platform in the world. I want to be the boot influencer and a shoe guy, and like I want to have this and I want to do this. I didn't predict this by any means, but the point on the horizon is, for me, that I follow is like that dream shop, a giant shop full of tools and toys and lots of equipment. I was working towards that, and I've pivoted along the way. You know, I first started off doing like wedding rings and planters out of like cutting wine bottles, and like jewelry and spoon rings and a couple leather goods. Oh, the leather goods worked a little bit, so I started following the leather goods. And then then I started working on the camera gear. The camera gear blew up, $500,000 on Kickstarter. Okay, we're a camera gear company. And then COVID hit, and it just completely killed all those sales. And then I started doing YouTube videos, and the YouTube started taking off. Oh, it turns out we're a YouTube channel. And then the YouTube really got defined into like boots and shoe reviews. Then that kind of pigeonholed us into like, all right, this is what we do. We dissect boots and shoes and inform consumers on what they're actually buying. And then when that grew to a point, then we started doing the collaborations, because there's only, you know, like you just can't rely on YouTube as a career. People think that the average YouTuber is like rich for making YouTube videos. If we were only relying on ad revenue, we couldn't run this business. There's no way. We do not make enough money on ad revenue to run the YouTube channel alone, let alone, you know, an entire business. And so we've had to pivot and subsidize like the YouTube channel in a way. You know, it's like we had to create some footholds in the industry to solidify ourselves. So if YouTube one day is like, I don't like what Weston said about homeless people and hiking in his favorite hike, destroy. They could just wipe you off the face of the earth. And so that's why we really focus on the collaborations. We focus on our handmade leather goods. We focus on our boot and shoe accessories, our camera gear, building our email list. So we own our audience instead of YouTube arbitrarily being like, hey, you spent like millions of dollars and years of your life on this. Well, guess what? I push one button, it's all gone. That's what we're trying to prevent. And that's how we've pivoted to continue to grow, but also like solidify ourselves and really make it a stable business, instead of being like, well, it's all on YouTube. If one day the traffic just drops off, we're screwed. And so, long answer again, what was my fallback career? I didn't have one, but that's how it goes with entrepreneurship, and from what I've seen in all my friends that are entrepreneurs. But it's not like you're following an idealistic goal of one specific thing. You're following like a point on the horizon, that general direction, and you're pivoting as you go along and learning and growing and improving yourself and growing as you go, so that you can actually grow the business. What should one expect when trying to make YouTube content creation a career? To not make any frickin' money. It's tough. It is a tough job. You know, there's a lot of creators that only make content and they can't make it. There's no money in shorts or TikToks, so you're not going to make a career off of that unless you figure out a way to make money in other ways. But more specifically, anticipate a tough road and anticipate having to pivot and find other ways to make money aside from YouTube and aside from content creation, because you're not going to make any. Just treat YouTube and content creation as if it's marketing, and then focus on making money in other places. What was the first biggish mistake you made along the way? You know, there's some costly mistakes in quotations that I don't even really consider mistakes. Like we gambled on the Rose Anvil Builds channel and bought like $60,000 worth of cobbling equipment, spent thousands of dollars on some first videos. They just never took off. And you know, that's going back to the YouTube thing. You just never know. You have no idea what YouTube's going to do, when it's going to drop off the face of the earth. And it's just a tough job to make enough intriguing content to make money off of people watching it. And so that was one mistake. I think a mistake that I continue to make is making excuses for people instead of just taking them at face value. You know, especially when it comes to like hiring people or working with certain people or brands. It's like I see the opportunity and I see the potential, and I try to make it work instead of just moving on. And that's caused a lot of like slowing down in the business. Basically what I'm saying is what we've been talking about lately. Like we're so small, it's a sink or swim business, and we don't have the ability to work with brands or people or have employees or have concepts or business projects that just float. You know, it's either we're grinding for it and we're making money and we're improving this thing, or we're not. There's no in between. There's no room for anyone just to be like floating by, just cashing checks. It's like we're a team of 15. Everyone works their ass off, and like every brand we work with works their ass off. And if it's not the case, we just can't work with that. And I used to try to make it work and try to like make excuses and try to make it work for other people and other brands. But we're at a point now where it's like it's costing us more by me being nice than it's worth. Do you have any plans to become an actual boot maker rather than doing collaborations only? In terms of me becoming an actual boot maker, I would love to. You know, that's why we bought the cobbling equipment, and I could piece together a really terrible boot. Like I'm nowhere near as good as Taylor, but I would really like to, and that's a big part of this. Is I like running a business. I don't like being on YouTube that much. But more than anything, I love making things with my hands. And I love learning new skills, new machines, new crafts. That's the whole reason I started all this, is to make the dream shop a reality of like having a place with as much of the tools, toys, and equipment you could ever want to make anything you want. Because there becomes a certain point in any hobby or any interest that like, I kind of view it in 3 phases. There's like the average person that, you know, you're kind of scrimping and saving, trying to save up enough money for that, trying to upgrade this, upgrade that. Then above that, you got the rich people who are just like, I'm going to buy all of it right up front. You know, like I just got into mountain biking this year. I'm going to buy a $10,000 mountain biking bike. Or I just got into skateboarding. I'm going to go to the local skate shop and buy a $500 skateboard that I don't even need. You know, that's like the rich people thing. But the problem with the rich people is it kind of ruins the fun. You know, it's like they come in with brand new stuff and like, or like whatever it happens to be. It's like, you didn't even earn that. Like you just bought it, you know? And like that stuff drives me nuts. And it's hard for someone when you're like getting into the hobby or you've been passionate about it, you don't have millions of dollars to just spend on the top of the line stuff. It's like, it's kind of, you know, it kind of is like, okay, like I've been trying to do this for 20 years and you just went and bought one. So, you know, it's just annoying. That's why people have such a problem with people coming into a hobby or an industry that has money and they just buy the top of the line stuff. It's like every industry hates that. The only way I've found value above that to where it's like, well, even like the richest of rich can't do this. Or like, I want something in this industry that's so unique that even the richest people can't do it. Or like, I want something so specific or so exactly how I want or so finely tuned that no matter how rich you are, you can't buy it. That's that upper echelon of like the true exclusive stuff that you can only make yourself. Because I think as I've gotten older, I've realized like the average person is like a very average person, and like there's no adults, there's no like hardly anyone knows what they're doing most of the time, and everyone's like half-assing their jobs most of the time. And so when you go out and try to find people to like, whether it's like building a new like project car or like getting into a new hobby or whatever, it's like if you really want the rarest of rare, the coolest of cool, you can't pay for it. They have to make it, and it's really tough to find people that will make it. And like really for me, I've found if I really want something right, you got to do it yourself. And especially when it comes to hobbies and skills, to put whatever you're interested in at the upper echelon of coolness or uniqueness or whatever, you got to do it yourself, because those rich assholes will come in and just buy your top of the line thing day one that you've been saving up for 10 years. That was a long way to answer that. But yes, I will definitely become a better boot maker to a point where I'm proud of the boots that I can personally produce. I'll never really sell them. I'm not going to become a boot maker. I'm like, I'm making this many a month. I'm like, no, I'm not interested in that. I'll make it for like friends, family, my personal use. I don't plan on being like a paid boot maker. Is there a brand you haven't collabed with that you'd love to? Also, no mock toe collab yet. I'd like to work with some of the big brands. You know, I'd love to work with Keen, New Balance, you know, some of these big brands. It'd be cool to land a big brand deal, because I think applying what we do and like this really high emphasis on durable and materials and value and applying that to one of these big companies, I think it could be a really cool project. What was the most humbling part of your start? having YouTube videos that I thought were going to get 1,000 views get millions of views. That's the most humbling thing. And just having your face and your voice on camera 24/7 and having like just being exposed. You know, I'm not a YouTube guy. I don't get a lot out of like the YouTube fame thing. It's still fun, but it's a lot of stress. And that's probably the most humbling thing, is just being like torn apart on the internet for anything from how you look to how you dress to how you talk to how you argue certain things. Like any possible thing that you could have humbled, being on the internet will humble you. How to maintain positive business relationships. It's honestly not that hard. You know, it's like we run into brands that are, and people in brands that I'm like, I see what you're doing. Like, I'm not an idiot. You know, you read one business book and you're like, I see the tactics you did there. I see what you're doing. And so, you know, it's like, it's no different than any relationship. It's like either it's a relationship with another person, a friendship, a marriage, a business relationship, just communication, and like mutually beneficial agreements. Expanding the pie is like a really solid like negotiation tactic we use on a regular basis that brings value. And like, you know, something that we do is like, hey, I'm not trying to like screw you over as much money as humanly possible. I'm trying to like make this work for both of us. So over in the long term, I can make more money because you made more money, you know? And that's kind of how I treat it. The one thing, if there's one thing that you can do to make a negative business relationship, is treating it like a business relationship. Obviously you have to have your limits and your boundaries. But like, yeah, it's just so many, like the worst business relationships I have are when like people are like, I'm a businessman. I am going to swindle you and I'm going to negotiate and this, and this. And they just try to take advantage of you just to make a few extra bucks. You can feel it. You know, like any relationship, you can feel it. That's that. Who is the best employee and why is it Sam? Sam is one of the best for sure. Who is the best employee? I don't play favorites. I love everyone though. We have such a killer team. Like we talk about it on a regular basis, and like I thought for sure by the end of this year it wouldn't be the way it is, but like everyone that works here is so fun and so cool and highly talented, highly motivated. Everyone works their butt off and everyone gets along. Like when we have our like morning meeting, like everyone's laughing like so hard. Like when I'm walking towards the back of the shop, I hear people laughing and it's not that they're wasting time. They're like working and having fun at work while getting stuff done. And that's all you could ever want. And so I really like all the employees. Will you guys start selling hats, hoodies, and t-shirts regularly? Maybe, if we can find a reason. It's just merch. Merch is a tough business. There's not a lot of money in shirts, and it's a lot of work to make them, and we might. It's just a matter of like, there's a term called opportunity cost, if you haven't heard of it. It's basically, how much is it gonna cost me to do this project instead of this project? How much am I gonna lose by taking this opportunity instead of doing this over here? So for instance, just a quick example, like maybe this takes me an hour to record. We're gonna lose money on this because it takes a lot of editing power, and the Roseanne with 2 channels doesn't make enough money to even pay for the editor. And so this is actually got a negative $50, maybe a negative $500 cost. And versus instead of doing this, I could have gone and been designing collaborations, or I could have finished up this product design that could potentially bring us in $40,000 over the next year. And so it's like, where do you spend your time? Because you get to a point where you only have so much time in the day, you only have so much brain power and brain time and bandwidth. And so what is the opportunity cost of this that I'm doing instead of this? And that's one of the biggest pitfalls people fall into with business, including myself. Have you ever physically stopped a stranger from buying a bad pair of boots? No, I go incognito when I'm at boot and shoe stores. I'm like, stay away from me. I don't want to talk to anybody. Do you always cut the left or right one? What do you do with the other ones? Have you thought of wearing the odd ones? We do mostly cut the left one. 9 times out of 10, only left. And the others we keep in inventory for lots of good reasons, and especially for some reasons coming up in 2025. What was the most fun boot to cut open? That Mischief Big Red boot was pretty cool. That was a fun one. That was a really good one. What is your perfect price range for daily boots? If you can spend over at least $100, try that. If you can spend over $150, you're gonna be in a lot better zone of quality. And so for me, like an everyday boot, anywhere from like $150 to $300. It's a sliding scale of like quality, but you don't always get you don't get certain value more per dollar spent, is what I'm getting at. So like a $700 boot isn't gonna be $700 comfortable compared to a $100 like really comfy squishy boot. The leather boot's gonna last 20 times as long, So it's a trade-off. And so I think most people are really happy with that $150 to $300 price range. And that's why these work boots we do from October are always in those price range, and why like Thorogood really rules that class, and like Ariats do really well. And there's a few brands that are just giant corporations because that is like that affordable price range, affordable enough price range. Which pair of boots do you wear most often? I wear my Drifter 2s a ton. I wear my Russell moccasins a ton. But I honestly just wear so many collaborations testing them, so many other boots testing them, that I don't really have that many like boots I wear on a really, really regular basis. What is your favorite shoe store? I like Scheels here in Salt Lake, or south of Salt Lake. I don't go to as many shoe stores though. If you had to jump off the roof of a burning building, which boots would you wear? Big red boots. Those babies will be so soft. They work like air dams as you work on your way, or you jump on your way down. Maybe some moon boots. What synthetic material for footwear is better or is next to leather? Well, similar things to what we talked about previously. It depends on what you value. If you value ultra squish and comfort, no matter what, you're gonna value foam and softer materials over leather any day. And so it depends on what you mean by better. And that's why, we posted, what was it? Thorogood. I posted a Thorogood unboxing, and there's like a little comment conversation going on. Because I said, what did I say? I said something along the lines of like, tons of people buy Thorogoods for work boots, and not a lot of people buy Red Wing mock toes for work boots, because these are like, the Thorogoods are more work boot-esque because they've got this really soft insole. They got the foam-topped fiberboard. It's still Goodyear welted, but it has like a lot of the softer, squishier features that you could say is less valuable than the $350 pair of Red Wings. But the Red Wings are not for that kind of work. They're harder underfoot. They're not going to break in as fast. They're just not going to be as good of a work for boot than a pair of Thorogoods, even though you can say intrinsically that Red Wing is a better boot based off of quality materials, the price, the construction techniques, durability, longevity. That's one lens to look at, while still being able to look at the fact that like some of those aspects are subjective, and some people will value those subjective things significantly higher than the objective facts and truths. When is the Japanese officer boot coming? I just sent an email last night asking the same thing, because there's certain collaborations where I want to be super heavily involved and like, this is what we should do, let's do this, and this. There's other collaborations where you're just like, let him cook. And that's how that collaboration is. I'm like, you do your thing. This is your expertise. You know what you're doing. You do it. And I'll just be here to like help guide it and like help you position it, because if we're making as close to a one-for-one boot as we can, it's not like there's a design aesthetic I need to have input on. And so I'm just like, let's make this as close as humanly possible so people can actually wear as close to the original World War II Japanese boot as possible. What is your favorite affordable boot brand? One that's been on the top of my mind lately is Palladium, because I love these boots. I just wish they're better quality. I wish they were like just a little bit more expensive, so you actually got like a really lightweight canvas like hiker boot. And so, spoiler alert, maybe we're working on one. Sign up for limited edition email list if you haven't, so you can know when it comes out. It's a long ways out though. Another affordable boot brand I really like, obviously Jim Green is like a really good value, but take it with a grain of salt. Who's done a ton of collaborations with them. You got your classics like Ariat, Georgia, some of the well-known work boot brands. Like there's a reason why they're well-known and they stick around, is because they make a really good boot for that like affordable price range. I don't know. Let me look at my rack and see if there's anything else that Toaster's been sitting with us the whole time too. He just doesn't want to be on camera. Limbs. I really like the Limbs like barefoot stuff. Thursday's pretty undefeated in quality per dollar spent. Like it's a tough thing to beat Thursday. Redbacks and Blundstones are some of my favorite affordable boots. We gotta work with some new brands. I feel like I talk about the same brands all the time. Toughest leather to work with. That oak bark tan you can get from JR, I think. There's like an English tannery and a German tannery that do the oak bark tan. It is tough leather to work with. If leather was not a possible choice, what would be the next best material? BB. I love any natural material for several reasons. One, it returns the earth really naturally. It's like part of the earth. It returns the earth. It's not like this man-made synthetic thing that will last for 10 million years. There's certain value you can only get from the beautiful process of survival of the fittest through millions of years, developing skin and fur and all these different parts of animals to withstand the toughest, harshest environments an animal can live through. That just happens to make some of the best raw materials you can make anything out of. And so the next best, I love wool. I love canvas. I love all that stuff. I love natural materials. A potential project from last year, because as many collaborations as we launched, there's still some we never get around to launching because they just didn't work. This canvas is 1.6 millimeters thick. So this is like thicker than sneaker leather, and it's canvas. It's nuts. And I love it. What's your favorite weird color for leather? I like a really natural veg. That's not that weird. Probably red. You know, like a bright red leather. I think that's probably my favorite weird color, if that's weird enough. Do you like that Sam refers to you as Leather Daddy? Does he call me Leather Daddy in those videos?
So I'll throw it over to Weston to do the leather analysis and kind of the Leather Daddy process.
That's funny. I actually don't really watch Sam's videos very much. I prefer the term fathered leather, but I'll take Leather Daddy. When are we going to see Ripley-inspired boots with the Alien Core black and green style, or better yet, Evangelion Core? Someone watched the live stream. This is probably like Gunpla. I can't remember what his username is. I'm working on some Alien Core concepts, maybe for next year. I don't even know if anyone's going to... Like, imagine like a bright green, like green screen green, but as a core. Could be sick, but no promises yet. Most of it's probably going to take a year to develop anyway. Ever think of selling gun holsters? Yeah, if like all the social media platforms were not so anti-Second Amendment, good Lord, you'd think that like one of our basic rights would not be so demonized on every single social platform. By like demonetizing, by deranking, by blacklisting, and by like stopping people from running ads and all these things that they do on social media platforms for anything that's related to guns. Be like, wow, it's almost like they're trying to prevent people from getting into the industry and knowing about the industry and helping and trying to prevent businesses from growing in the digital era. If that's not the case, it sure has that effect. And it's so stupid. I think it's one of the things that we don't talk about that drives me absolutely insane. How can I get started working leather? There's Little King Goods. There used to be Stock and Barrel. I don't think they're around anymore. I think they died off. They're a Utah company. Yeah, just YouTube. There's so many good resources on YouTube. Just search YouTube and it will get you further down the road than I could have gotten when I first started, because there was no like leather content like there is now when I started, and it is a much better place to get into the leatherworking industry now compared to 10 years ago. Toasty, couple questions for you. How did you end up with Toaster, and why is he so cute? That's a good question. I ask that every single day. Why is he so cute? It's a long story. So Toaster actually is Russian. He was born in Russia, and then a breeder here in the U.S. in Salt Lake wanted to start breeding cats, and she's from Russia, so she bought a cat from Russia, had him shipped over. Poor Toasty. Can you imagine the poor plane ride? Just in a box for like 20 hours on a plane. Then she gets him here to Salt Lake, and homeboy refuses to breed. He refuses. And he was pretty young, he's like right in that breeding age, and she's like, well, he'll probably warm up after he gets used to being here and all these other cats, but he just refused. And I was like, I hate cat fur being all over everything. I can't have it for like my leather goods production. And I stumbled upon the breed Devon Rex, and I was like, that's what I want. And so I was calling around some cat breeders. Hey, dude, when are you going to have some for sale? You got any of those cats for sale? And they're like, no, the wait list's like 2 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, 2 years to wait for a cat? Was a Pacific Northwest boot? What is this? Then one of the ladies that's here in Salt Lake was like, oh, but my neighbor just bought a cat and he is a dud. So you probably could convince her to sell him to you. And I was like, you got a deal. And so I went and saw him and I pet him. The first time I pet him, I was like, oh my gosh, these cats feel so crazy. And me and Toasty made eye contact. He said verbally through his eyeballs, take me away from this place. Save me from all these crazy cats. I'm the only boy in this room and I refuse to touch these other cats. And I was like, I'll take him. And so I got him as a cool discounted rate of like $600. They're like $2,000 now to get one of these cats. And you can't even see him. I thought you could maybe see him on screen. Okay, Toasty, it's finally time to figure out how old you actually are. I have to say a different number every time because I forget. Because this question is, how old is Toaster? Official pedigree chart. His father, Ivan Magic Slim, which not named after the Slim wallet, but that was a nickname of mine in earlier parts of my life. And a sortie, Roxana, were his parents. And he was born June 5th, 2016. So he is 8 years old. Toasty, you're getting old, buddy. You're well into your later years, bud. His litter is 1 male, 2 females. Checks out for Toasty. He's a cream point and special marks for breeding. Pretty cool, huh? World Cat Federation. Official. Does Toaster have a girlfriend, Kitty? He's got a best bud named Taco, but my buddy Grant, who bought Taco from the same breeder, so they're cousins in a way, he moved to Arizona, and so he doesn't have a buddy. How you doing? I'm tired. It's been a crazy year. It's been a good year. We like doubled the size of the business. We really grew the business in terms of like the quality of content, the amount of content. Like I used to do like 1 or 2 videos a week. Now I do we basically post like 5 videos a week with Rose Anvil 2. So it's been a big grinding year, and the cool part of it is you guys haven't even seen how much impact this year has had because it's all in the back end right now. It's going to start showing this next year, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get what you're doing. But I'm currently trying to find balance in my life because as an entrepreneur, it's your whole life, like I mentioned at the top of the question. But I'm trying to balance my life. You know, over the last couple of years, I've really tried to get in better physical health, in better mental health, clean up my like relationships and like people around me and who's there for the good reasons and bad reasons and who do I want to continue my life with, who do I don't. Like, you know, it's just like cleaning up my life has been a big theme this year because of how imbalanced my life had to be for me to get this business to a point to where it's at today without investors, without seed money and like venture capital money, without owing anybody anything. I had to devote my entire life to it for like 6 years and really for like 10 years, but especially 6 years. All my hobbies went by the wayside. My relationships went by the wayside. My physical health, all of it got sacrificed on the altar of Rose Anvil. And now because of how killer my team is and how like proficient they are and how hard they work, it's allowed me to have the bandwidth to start caring for myself. So thank you guys for your support because I desperately need that. I need to go out and I need to go on some dates. I'm still single as so I'm trying to balance my life. That's how I'm doing. What is your dream hunt? Uh-oh. People are going to get upset. I want to go to Africa. I want to do a safari in Africa. If I do it, people are going to lose their shit. But like, that is my dream hunt. Because I already got a really nice bull elk. I've got a few good like deer in my life. I would like to get that 30 plus mule deer. Whitetails I don't really care about whitetails. They might as well be rabbits to me. Like mule deer is my game of choice for deer. I still haven't got a black bear either. I'm a really terrible black bear hunter. For some reason, everyone in like my family and friends that go hunting with us for black bears, they've all got one but me. And it'd be cool to kill the grizz. I wouldn't mind killing a grizzly bear. I haven't killed him yet. It's just hopes and dreams of murdering innocent animals right now, okay? But I'll do it. Do you have a child? No children that I'm aware of. Never been married, despite what some people think. Okay, here's the thing. I did a faux wedding shoot with an ex-girlfriend. This couple, they're called the Hearns, and they asked us to model for a shoot, and I was like, I do not want to. I do not want to be on camera. And then I was like, fine, I'll do it. Drove all the way down to like Moab. It was a fun shoot. You know, all things considered, it was fun. But after they posted that photo shoot, it went viral. It was like all over the place. It was like one of the first like big Red Rock style wedding photo shoots with black outfits on. And it's like, I'll see it on like Pinterest or I'll see it come up on like wedding photographers. I'm like, oh, that's me. But the problem is that wasn't a real wedding. I didn't marry that girl. And so I'll go on dates with girls and I'll get to know girls and they'll do their background check on me. They'll be like, hey, you didn't tell me you're married. Hey, you lied to me. You said you've never been married. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, here's this link. And I'm like, it wasn't a marriage. It was a fake one. All these girls think I'm a liar. All these girls think I was like married and now I'm lying to their face about it, which no shame in being married before. But like, I've never been married before. And so it's kind of a funny thing. I'll hit them up again and be like, please just say faux wedding or fake wedding or like mock wedding, anything. They're screwing me up. Do you watch any anime and play any video games? I watch a good amount of anime. What did I finish recently? I went to watch that Rohirrim Lord of the Rings movie. It's fine. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. That's probably my number one the last year or so. It's a little bit cliche, but it's a good one. In the first Pokemon game, which one did you choose? I was always a Squirtle. Yep, I was always a Squirtle. I liked the Charizard one. I would go between the two, but it was definitely Squirtle and War Turtle. Are you kidding me? With the 2 cannons out the back? How could I not? Wasatch or Uintas? Wasatch, that's where I've hunted my whole life, is on the Wasatch Front and down in central southern Utah. Pavant Range is where I got that big old bull in the back of the shop. I think it scored like 365, 370. Are you into hardcore? I see the Knock Loose hat all the time. My brother got me into hardcore. I love some hardcore music. You know, I have different types of music for different times of the year and different times of the day. Like when I don't want to get up for work and I don't want to do anything, I put on some hardcore and all of a sudden I'm like, let's go. But when I'm trying to wind down at night, the last thing I want is someone screaming in my ear. So, you know, in the summers, listen to like good country music, or like old country music. In the winters, I love classical music in the winters when I'm trying to wind down. I go to the symphony as much as I can because I love it. I love live music. I played a lot of music growing up and learned a lot of instruments and used to teach some lessons and stuff. And so music is a big part of my life that we don't talk about much. But I do love hardcore. It's not my exclusive music genre, but I listen to a good amount. Favorite pizza topping? I honestly just love a meat lover as like basic bro as that is. I like a Supreme, and I love a Meat Lovers. Where do you all hunt? For what? We hunt in Utah. We put in for tags in Montana. We go at Idaho a lot. We put in for Wyoming for deer as well. Those are our 4 like main hunts we do every year, or like try to do every year, those 3 states. But I would hunt anywhere because I love hunting. I would go and hunt anything, anywhere. Penis size. You have to talk to some ex-girlfriends. I'm not divulging that on the internet. Do you ski being so close to awesome mountains? No, because I was raised in rural Utah. And nobody could afford to ski or snowboard. Like, who? The passes are so much money. Every single time you go, it's so much money. The drive up, the time, the energy. And so I'll eventually get to it. It hasn't been a luxury that I was afforded my whole life until more recently as this business has grown because of your guys' support. Yeah, if I do ski, I'll be safe, basically what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not interested in like bombing a hill and getting hurt. But I've been around board sports my whole life, so I think I pick it up pretty easily. Do you ever plan to move away from Utah? No, I like Utah. My family's here. My condo downtown is 5 minutes from that hike that I'm always doing. We're nestled right in the mountains. The salt flats are just like half an hour that way. Zion and Moab's a few hours that way. Logan and Bear Lakes that way. We don't have any beaches, but we also don't have the crazy amount of people. If I move anywhere, it'll be out of Salt Lake City because I'm not a big city guy. There's just some things with a city that don't sit well with me. The amount of people, the claustrophobia, and like the smog, like the chaos. It's beautiful for where I'm at in my life right now, but I don't want to live downtown forever, especially when I hopefully have kids one day. And for my final question on here, what's your favorite smell? The smell of this little boy. How about I modify your question? What's my favorite like off-putting smell that I think smells nice that most people don't? Love the smell of diesel smoke. You know, like a diesel blowing coal. Yeah. Smells good. I honestly kind of like the smell of skunks. It reminds me of like going back to the hunting thing. You know, like a game bag, they smell like skunks. So when I was a kid, my dad's gun cabinet had like an old game bag in there, so it smelled a little bit like skunks. And so I don't mind skunk smell, honestly. Okay, let me ask myself the final question. Let me think of a good question. I know a good one. 2-part question. Would I do it again knowing what I know now? If I went back 10 years when I was like sitting at McDonald's with my friends, what do I call this thing? You will be my baby. You will be my baby. I would do it again. It's been a heck of a journey and it's been fun. You know, I was just fortunate that I had a business type that didn't need investors. That forced me to be the full motivation behind it. It was no one else waking me up in the morning to get out of bed and go to work. It's only me that's accountable to it. But more importantly, for this whole journey thing is I've had to grow up with the business. I've had to learn to like grow and change because nobody likes taking phone calls when you're 25. Nobody likes calling brands. Nobody knows how to send contracts. You can pay people to that know that to do it for you. But if you really want to become a successful entrepreneur, you have to learn all the skills. That's basically what happened with me, and that's why I'm really grateful for the journey. And even though it took 10 years, I'm fine with it because I've grown with the business. I've improved my personal life, my personal health, my value as a person, my skill sets as a person. So much so that like the second half of that personal question to myself, the slate got wiped clean. Would I start over and do it all over again? I would, because it's fun. It's a fun endeavor. You're pushing, you're grinding, and it's scary, and it's a lot of work, and it's exhausting, and it wears your body out. It's a tough thing to do, but it can be really fun, and it can be really meaningful. Because I did grow it so slowly and I grew it so independently, I've picked up all the skill sets. So I wouldn't be starting from ground zero. I'd be starting from all the experience that I've gathered, growing all this to the point to where it's at, that I could immediately apply to a new business concept, and it would be fun and exciting. It would still be scary. It'd still be like a bummer if I lost everything that I've ever worked for, but I would do it again. Thank you guys for all your support, fun Q&A, and thank you guys for helping us get across 1 million. And I don't even know when this posts, but happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. It is really an honor to be able to be in this position where, in terms of like you guys trusting the process that we're doing to try to bring as much truth and honesty to the footwear industry as we can. A lot of the cool things that I've been working for 10 years, my dreams for the last 10 years have all started to come true. And so it's a really beautiful thing, and I'm really grateful, and I feel very lucky and undeserving of it. And so thank you guys for your trust. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for investing in us as a company, but also as a concept to improve the footwear world. because wait till you see what we have coming out in 2025. It's going to be cool. So next time I see you guys, hopefully we'll have an announcement ready because I keep talking about it. So thank you guys, and check out all the links to whatever we talked about below. Shout out to the Rose Anvil crew. Without these 15 people, we couldn't do it. And with 15 other people, we also couldn't do it. It takes this specific team of hardworking badasses to make a 1 million subscriber channel. 10 collaborations this year, the handmade leather goods, top of the industry camera gear, some of the best boot and shoe accessories you can get. We do it with 15 people, and it's because they are the best. They're just the best. So huge shout out to Rose Anvil crew. Every single one of them kill it. We all get along super well. It's super fun here, and we're building something truly unique and different for you guys as the viewers in the footwear industry, but also for us here at Rose Anvil, because we're not owned by anybody. We're trying to make a difference and do the coolest things that we possibly can with as small of a team as we possibly can. So thank you guys. See ya. Shut up, you dumb, beautiful kitty.